After a controversial week, the Dogs were disappointing as the Bombers took another big scalp. It was perfect weather for Ducks and the Tigers broke theirs. In a slippery clash that saw the tackle record smashed and Luke McGuan's tackle nearly, well, you get the picture. Fev brought out the party tricks to help celebrate Luke Power's 250th amid stirring scenes at the Gabba. St Kilda broke free of Adelaide in the final quarter as Lee Montagna, with 38 touches and 5 goals, led the Saints to a 47-point victory. The Hawks wore camouflage to honour the Kokoda Diggers, but couldn't hide another buddy bump. Bryce Gibbs equalled Diesel's record of 45 possessions, but was he in the best?
No, stats, don't worry about stats. Jeff Garlett was best on ground by a country mile.
And there was no brotherly love between the Scott twins as Fremantle flogged North Melbourne. There's nothing unusual about a St Kilda match with a revolt dominating, but this time it was Jack for the Tigers, whilst Tyson Edwards hung up the boots after a stellar career of 321 games. Lindsay bombed one through in his socks, and Levi wobbled one through from the pocket. Or did it come from somewhere else? To secure a 1-point win for the Kangaroos, 36 possessions for Paul Chapman in a best-on-ground performance in Geelong's 9th win of the season against the Eagles. With 17 lead changes for the game, it was a case of who was going to have their nose in front on the final siren. Sydney did by 9 points. Another unconvincing win, but the Hawks season was starting to go in the right direction, even if the same couldn't be said for some of their players.
It's going the wrong way.
And with another loss and another injury, doubts were raised about the Dogs' premiership aspirations. Celebrating 25 years of Friday night football, and Lindsay Thomas seemed to channel some old-school cracker magic. The Hawks were finally into the 8 after their 5th straight win. Rioli and Hodge vying for best on-ground honours. All of the Cats seemed to take note of the pre-game goal-kicking instruction video, slotting home 23 in a comfortable win against the Bombers. A perfect 10 for Jack Riewoldt as the Tigers notched up their 2nd win for the season. Barry kicked 6 and the Bulldogs were back on the winning list, defeating a Lions outfit minus Jonathan Brown. St Kilda reminded everyone of their premiership credentials with a hard-fought win against Freo in the West. After their last encounter, no one thought it could get any closer, but they were wrong. Scores tied up on the final siren in the Queen's birthday clash at the G. The opening match of the split round, and well, nothing else needs to be said about this one.
Man running back towards the goal square, needs to be closer. Can't bounce it through, he kicks it through on the ball.
A season-ending injury to Matthew Cruiser, and Chris Judd had his own niggle to worry about. Brisbane's year was on the slide, whilst the Tigers were on the up, winning their 2nd game in a row. There were murmurings of an inaugural wooden spoon for the Eagles as they were mauled by the Dogs. It was a spiteful grand final replay, and there were casualties on both sides as the Saints prevailed. Another loss for Sydney against Collingwood. No wonder Roosie lost his cool. And Melbourne couldn't break their Adelaide hoodoo. The Carlton faithful didn't get to see Fev back in Melbourne, but they still had plenty to smile about as the Blues trounced an injury-depleted Brisbane. It was tighter the next night at the MCG, the Hawks winning by 3 points to make it 7 in a row. In the West, an horrific injury ended the brilliant debut season of Michael Barlow, whilst Choco predicted the end of his own coaching tenure.
The club is certainly bigger than any individual. The understanding of where coaching careers start and finish, I understand it all.
The Pies smacked the Eagles. Adelaide were too good for Essendon. And the Cats won comfortably at their fortress in Geelong. The Tigers were down, but never out, continuing their stunning form reversal with a 4-point win against the Swans. And things didn't always go St Kilda's way in their win over Melbourne.